In this video, we're going to be going over the pre-trip inspection for the ladder truck. Now, before you get started on your inspections, you want to be sure to check PS Tracks and see if there's any alerts that need to be followed up with. You need to talk with the engineer coming off shift, see if there's any issues that have been ongoing, or if there's any equipment that still needs to be restored from that late fire last night. And then, if you find any issues that affect safety, those must be repaired immediately. So it's always good to do pre-trip inspections the same way every time. Get your system, get familiar with all the ins and outs that you're supposed to do each time, so it'll take you a lot less time to do it. This is where we just take a general overview, look for any damage or any big leaks underneath, and check and make sure all your compartment doors are shut. So step one's going to be hopping in the truck, starting it up, and doing a quick inspection on the inside. Adjust your driving controls and your seat, listen for any unusual noises, and check for any garbage that needs to be cleared out. Be sure to check your gauges. You want to make sure they're in normal operating ranges. Sometimes it takes a few seconds for these levels to get up to normal. Your controls that you need to check are your steering wheel, your foot pedals, your horns, windshield wipers, and all your lights. Once your transmission's warmed up and the fluid expands, you can hit the up and down button simultaneously to see how the life on the transmission fluid is. Also get familiar with the status screen. It has multiple screens. A lot of the gauges also show on the control panel. Once these basic checks are done, you need to pull the truck out onto the apron. This is where we're going to be doing our brake check. This is a list of brake checks we should be doing on apparatus with air brake systems. Any more information on air brakes, you should refer to the Oregon Commercial Driver Manual released by the Oregon Department of Transportation. I started off by moving slow, pulling the parking brake to make sure it works. Then I'm going to fan the brakes down to make sure my emergency lights come on. Then I'm going to check the system for any leaking. And after this point, I'm going to make sure my parking brake's pushed in, fan the brakes all the way down to see if that parking brake pops out. Then I'm going to put the vehicle in drive and try to drive forward against the brakes. Any issues with these tests should be written up immediately. Have somebody help you with this one. While you're in the cab, you'll need to check your left and right turn signals, reverse lights, brake lights, and high and low beams. For step 3, we need to raise the ladder up to get under the hood. Now to get started, you want to set your parking brakes, turn the aerial master and aerial PTO controls on. You want to be sure to set your wheel chocks, and you're going to extend your outriggers. Give a quick look underneath to make sure that main outrigger is going to go on solid ground. Once the truck is ready to lift the stick, you should have 8 green lights on your indicators. Check the function of your ladder controls. You should be able to raise and lower the ladder, rotate it left and right, and extend it out and in. With the ladder up, you can check for general condition. You can check and make sure all your equipment's there, any fluid, your fluid levels, the levels of your foam tank and your water tank.
This isn't really an ODOT check, but still good to do.
Well, now it's time to lift the cab. So step 4, checking the engine compartment. We've already taken care of the first thing, raising up the stick so it's out of the way of the cab. Don't be that guy. And take the time to clean up garbage out of the rest of the cab and make sure there's no loose bags or any equipment that could slide forward or fall forward and hit the windshield. So hop back in the cab, turn off the aerial master and aerial PTO controls. Shut off your engine, but flip it back into the ignition, switch into the on position. Don't turn the engine back on. So back over on the other side, you want to move the switch to the raise position and hold activate until the engine compartment stops raising. On the other side, raise the cab bar and seat it in the correct position. In this case, if the hydraulics fail, it doesn't crush you. First, check your transmission and oil levels. Make sure you have a rag so you can wipe down the dipstick and then put it back in. Remove it yet again to get an accurate reading on the transmission and oil levels. Unscrew the cap to check your power steering fluid. Visualize your battery terminals and wires and check your hydraulic fluid levels. Look inside, do a visual check on your pump. Here's where you want to do a methodical check of everything under the hood. Brakes, inside of the tire, suspension, the frame, the engine. Check the tension of your belts. You should have no more than a quarter turn when you put a little bit of pressure on these belts. You're really looking for anything that's out of place. If you notice any rusting, cracking, abnormal wear, or leaking, make sure you write it up. Check the tension on the other belt and take a look and see what your coolant level is by an indicator glass. Also check the brakes and suspension inside of the tire and the frame on this side. Don't forget the engine.
That was cool. I helped the UL guy. When did the test on this thing?
Went through it all.
Oh yeah, just every single freaking bolt. Checked the tension on it. And the torque on it. It's pretty cool.
Your battery terminals could be loose, which wouldn't get you enough voltage to start the vehicle. Once complete, go to the other side and pull your cab bar down. Make sure nothing is left in the engine compartment when you lower the cab. Flip the switch down to lower, hold up activate to lower the cab. Continue holding this up until the cab completely seats onto the frame. Your engine compartment check is now complete. Go turn the engine back on, and turn on the aerial master and aerial PTO. Go back to the pedestal, hold down. The ladder should auto stow, but you still want to be sure to pay attention to where it seats on the brackets. It is very important to make sure the ladder is fully retracted. Restore the apparatus by first raising your main pad and then restoring your left and right outriggers. Don't forget to put your pads back on and to pick up your wheel chocks. This brings us to step 5, do your walk-around inspection. So turn your emergency lights and all your scene lights on, and then do a walk around to make sure they all work. Once I check the lights, I'm going to shut them all off. I'm also going to grab a tire pressure gauge to take with me as I'm doing my walk around. So this walk around inspection is more detailed than the approach inspection we did earlier. We're looking top to bottom, underneath, and making sure we don't notice anything that's out of place or damaged that needs fixed, or if we're looking for any leaks, just anything that causes any concern. Make sure your tires are in really good condition. Check your lug nuts to make sure they're tight, and check your wheel condition. Look at the front, you're looking for any missing reflectors, any compartment doors that are open, any cracks in the windshield. Here on this side, we want to check underneath to make sure we don't see any fluids leaking after it's been running for a little bit. Again, you're going to check your tires, your wheels, check your tire pressure. Make sure your valves are closed. See if your chocks are locked into place. Here you can check the drive line and the exhaust. Also your rear suspension. Again, check those tires, both inner and outer. Inner ones are a little bit tougher to get to, but you can also roll underneath to get a better look. Check your rear reflectors, any covers, any caps, underneath for any leaking. Check, see where that main pad is in a good position. This side, we repeat what we did on the other side. Inner and outer tires, lug nuts leaking, any wear, general suspension if you could see it from underneath, and exhaust from the left side.